Hey, what's up YouTube? Today we're going to continue working on my LS swapped 240SX. Hey, if you're new here, don't forget to like, comment. If you have questions, drop them down in that comment box. And don't forget to subscribe. All right, for you returning ones, well, we're going to get working on the transmission mount, the drive shaft, and we're going to load up those headers, put them in place. This is your transmission mounting brackets, and this part goes on your T56 bolts up, and you'll have a supply. It comes SIKKY supplied. You have two washers, one on either side, and then you'll bolt this up on the transmission, and then this hole will go through this hole on here, and then these four bolts bolt onto the body of your car using your stock 240 bolts. As you see here, these two is where you'll put the supplied SIKKY mount there. You do not want to tighten it all the way down until you get everything fitted and kind of, everything bolted up and ready. I'm putting on the washers, one on either side, on the actually SIKKY supplied transmission mount. So we have here, we'll get it and we'll start to screw it in. We'll make sure it's threaded a decent amount, but still has a reasonable amount of play in it, kind of like this. That way it'll allow us to kind of move to fit it on there. Okay, as always, I have my bolts that I bolted back into the body, which are the transmission mount. I'm going to take these off. Okay, so I'll take this mount that they have supplied, put the hole in, just get the nut started, and just get all the stuff started. Nothing needs to be tightened down yet. The far side. All right, and I'll give you all a look. Okay, and that is what it looks like. What we'll do is we'll start tightening these down and get them all buttoned up. First thing we want to do is tighten down the SIKKY cross member. Okay, we'll get the other side, and then we'll, with a 18 millimeter or ratchet wrench, we'll tighten these down, and then at the very end we'll tighten the actual transmission mount, but don't tighten this too tight. Just be careful, and then that's it. All right, I just got to look at this. It's amazing. I got the driver's side header. It's not bolted up, but it's in. You can see it's a fairly tight fit, and you can see it's gonna be a fairly tight fit for passenger side. I just wanted to point out again, I torqued this down. I got it to where it was all the way seated, but I don't have the ARP head bolt on yet, or the ARP harmonic balancer bolt on yet. And the reason why is I was gonna bolt up the entire drive line, and then that way I could get under and just crank it and get the foot-pounds. Otherwise, it would have been a real pain in the butt. So I'd rather torque it down while it's in the car, on the ground with, you know, the drivetrain intact. All right. So this is, I mean, it's 90s cars. They had a whole bunch of room. 4-cylinder in here, now an 8-cylinder. Man, I can't wait to get this running.
Now you get an 18 and you tighten up these top ones. All right, let's get the other side and then get the final bolt. For the last bolt, get a 19, and we just want to get this snug down. We don't want to do it too, we don't want to crush the actual polyurethane, so just want to snug it down a bit. There we go. Yep, there we go. All right, and that is the transmission mount. Now let's go for the drive shaft.
All right, and I bought a SIKKY steel drive shaft. A little bit heavier, but I'm not worried about unsprung weight or revving up higher. I figure, you know, it's got enough power as it is. Plus, I needed to watch the budget a little bit. Can't go. I didn't want to go crazy. So, one thing you need to make sure is if you have ABS or not, because on the end of your differential, there'll be a little sensor which makes the actual drive shaft different length. And I do not have ABS, and so let's see if we can get this thing up in here.
What I'm gonna do is pull out this piece right here. That was what came with the GTO. I'm gonna pull that off and then slide the new drive shaft one in, and you know, pick it up and bolt it in. Should be pretty easy. Slide this one out. Then pick up the new one. Get my arm where I can get it. Slide it in.
As you'll notice here in this picture, particularly here where the transmission, it's the output shaft of the transmission, there is a rubber ring around it, and it was fitting really tight when I put this on. So I took off the drive shaft again, and you just want to trim right around the edge, and then the drive shaft will fit up perfectly.
So with a screwdriver and a little bit of force, was able to pry it up in there and get it on. Now I just need to get it bolted up, and the drive shaft's in. But like I said, make sure if you have ABS or gonna get a diff that has ABS, it'll have that extra sensor which extends it maybe, you know, half an inch, an inch, whatever it is, and that will change the drive shaft length. So make sure you get the right one. All right, well, let's get these bolted in. Now that I got the drive shaft in, I'll go ahead and put this brace back on, and these are 12mm bolts. Again, the drive shaft bolts, or the drive shaft to the differential, are 14. And as you're doing it, I got 3 in. I got to rotate the transmission to get the, or rotate the drive shaft or the wheels to get the fourth one, or the fourth one in. Make sure you go back and check all your other bolts, your drive shaft to your axles, you know, your half put shafts, all that stuff. Just go ahead and check, make sure every one of those is, you know, tightened. Once you have all those tightened up, then you know everything's buttoned up and you're good to go. Just a friendly note that if you have, or if you go with the stock fuel system, it gets really, I mean, it's like touching. So I'm thinking what I'll need to do is to bend these, hopefully not break these, and bend these away over here. That way they'll be closer up on the frame rail, and it's not going to be touching. I'm also planning on wrapping these in some heat wrap. As you can see, I mean, I left the stock stuff here because I didn't want to take it out yet, and to help, you know, remember what's what, which one's fuel, which one's return. And so just keep that in mind, that if you do use the stock fuel, it's going to get really close and you're going to have to do a little bending to get it out of the way. The other thing you could do, which I see a lot of people do, is when they come back over underneath the car toward the fuel tank, they'll put maybe, you know, up over here, they'll find a mounting spot, and they'll put the fuel filter and return, the filter regulator, which has the return, and it'll go right back automatically, and then run one line down the fuel rail on the outside. They'll run it down there, all the way down, and then up into the car. If I can't get these hard lines to work with me, that's probably what I'll end up doing. But I'm gonna try to get the stock ones first, because they should be able to handle, you know, up to maybe about 450, 500 horsepower. So as long as I'm not cooking it. All right, well, I got to get the exhaust manifolds bolted up. Got to check to make sure everything's buttoned up, and underneath I'm good to go.
All right, that's all we got. Don't forget to stay tuned for more. Comment, like, and subscribe.